All right. So, hi everybody. We have this is the most recent. I don't know how many of these we had, but this is the Baseline Protocol Steering Committee meeting. It's the first steering committee meeting that we've had because we've all had two different kinds of meetings up until now. Now we have one, which is both the Technical Steering Committee, which is the 11-member group that we will be electing this week. Along with the chair, and that will occur from today through midnight GMT on the last day of this month. And so I think Wednesday. And also the larger steering committee, so the larger steering committee includes lots of people. Effectively, anybody who has their name on accountability of any given master epic that we are working on. So if you have a dog in the hunt, as they say, then you get to be in the steering committee. And it's also an open meeting, so anybody can come. The technical steering committee will have 5 minutes of time to bring up any issues that it must handle as a governance body. I have been given no issues to date. Are there any maintainers that wish to bring up anything to the TSC at this time? Okay, no issues. By the way, maintainers and Sam Stokes, I think you're acting as sort of the ringleader for this. If you have any issues that need to be addressed, go ahead and put them in your minutes or in another comment on the agenda if you can. All right. There are only two agenda items this week. One is review of the candidates for the Technical Steering Committee, and one is and the other is the roadmap discussion. So, and there's a couple of items in that we've been asked to discuss. Any other additional items to go over in the meeting in this meeting today from anyone? Okay. I'm going to pull up the participants. We got a lot of them. I'm not sure that all I alerted all the Technical Steering Committee candidates to be on and to, maybe make a little 2-minute pitch for themselves. But short of that, I'm going to bring up the candidates list, and I added LinkedIn backgrounds for each of them, so that at least you'll have that. I'll bring that up in a second. There it is. Share screen. Can everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have Hudson Jameson, Kyle Thomas, Stefan Schmidt, and you can see the company names here, Nate McCurvey, Connor Shenson, John Wolpert, Eric Breivik, Karthik Solapuram, Brian Chamberlain, Sam Stokes, David Meckler, Anaiso Frank, Kale Teeter, George Spasov, and Devin Mitchum. So this list is locked. Here are the ones that are current TSC members. The ones, and only a couple people requested who were on the list said that they had other priorities that they needed to attend to. So most of the current ones. So that's 15, and we have 11 positions to elect, and one of those positions is the chairperson. All have acknowledged their nomination, and here are their profiles. I'm just going to go down the list. Hudson, would you like to say 2 minutes?
Sure, absolutely. Hey everyone, my name is Hudson Jameson, and here's my 39 slide deck on why I should be a TSC member. Just kidding.
Only PowerPoint, Hudson.
Only PowerPoint. Okay, no Google Slides. Got it. I got to get your vote, York. So my I guess, really short pitch. I work for the Ethereum Foundation. I've been involved in Ethereum since 2015 and blockchain since 2011. I've been working since relatively the beginning of Baseline as a TSC member and as someone who was formerly a maintainer for a short amount of time at Baseline. I feel like I'm familiar with the technology. I feel like I'm familiar with a lot of things coming up in the Ethereum and blockchain space that I think would be relevant for Baseline, and I can contribute a lot of good ideas and resources to the TSC. Additionally, because I'm involved in a lot of the Ethereum 1.0 public community stuff, I think that's a good kind of link to that community that can be utilized if I am, again, elected as a TSC member. That's about it for me. My LinkedIn's right there, but my contact information is at hudsonjameson.com or on Twitter if anyone has any questions. I'm also Hudson Jameson on Twitter and my DMs are open. Thank you.
Right on. That was great. Oh, I see. I lost screen share. Hold on, I'll do it again. There we go. Kyle Thomas, or any questions quickly for Hudson? I'm so tempted to like have some inappropriate reference to the U.S. elections, but I'm just not going there. So, yeah. All right. Hudson, thank you very much. Kyle Thomas.
Thanks, John. Hey, everybody. Kyle Thomas here, founder of Provide. Have had a very enjoyable experience on this first term of the technical steering committee, as well as participating as a maintainer for the Baseline protocol. Try to keep this pretty brief. Yeah, I would happily serve another term as a TSC member for Baseline. You know, I contributed the BRI1 reference implementation. I will participate with the same level of vigor as I did in the first term, if elected.
Is that physically possible?
Well, I think so.
It was a lot of effort.
It was good. I'm excited for the opportunity to do it again. Thanks, John. I'll yield my time.
Any questions for the Right Honorable Mr. Thomas? Excellent. Stefan Schmidt. By the way, if anybody isn't here, I'm going to then shamelessly like say nice things about them. So, oh, there he is. All right, Stefan, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, I'm Stefan Schmidt, CTO and co-founder of Unibright from Germany, a blockchain integration company, and also part of Baseline from the very beginning. It's been a very exciting ride so far with great colleagues and also great spirit from the open source community. Personally, I'm most of my time I'm involved in Baseline related POCs, also coming from the EEA integration task force Eminent, where we teamed up for several POCs around Baseline to showcase first implementations, like we did with the Kona case together with Kyle from Provide and team. And I also would be happy to serve for another TSC period, especially finishing what we already started, and also excited for new opportunities and projects around Baseline. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Stefan. Anyone have questions for Stefan? All right, Nate McCurvey. All right, Nate, you're going to get the special treatment. Oops, I got to share my screen on.
John, if you want, I can talk about Nate.
Yes, have at.
So Nate is leader of the Blockchain Center of Excellence at Splunk, which is an enterprise operations telemetry company. Nate's a pretty amazing collaborator. I've been working with him for probably 6 to 9 months, just on some requirements to build into both their open source tooling, the ETH logger event extractor, as well as consortium dashboards. So great guy, great collaborator. You know, he'd be a great candidate.
Is everybody seeing the screen there with Nate on it?
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't seen the work that Nate was behind at the Splunk conference, is what you're looking at there on screen. There were about 10,000 people, I think, at that conference, and they basically did a full-on enterprise version of the burner wallet, rewards tokens, leveraging the XDAI network. It was pretty impressive.
I'm aware that they are also putting more resource on baselining imminently. So that's exciting. All right. Next person. Any questions for Nate or for York Nate? All right, Connor, you're up.
I think Connor ducked out so I could talk about him.
If you're
That's cool.
welcome.
Sorry guys, I just had some technical issues. I had to switch to a different room. Just quickly, is the audio okay here?
Yes.
Cool. And thank you for the offer though, York, as well. It's good to know you were ready to go. Thank you. Yeah, so Connor Spence, founder of Web3 Labs, author of Web3J, the JVM integration library for Ethereum. Also, I guess, been involved in the enterprise kind of initiatives for a while. I was one of the original contributors to Quorum in terms of their secure enclave when it first got released back in 2016. Then was the chair of the Quorum working group within the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which morphed into the technical specification working group for the last 3 years. My interest in baseline is really because I see this future of privacy running on top of mainnet being something that's very real and very feasible. And I think in the nearer term, where I'm interested in the angle of kind of carving it up a little bit more so that we can start to support some other language implementations on top of like the core infrastructure. It's something we've started discussing with Kyle, but this is something we'll want to run with over the future months. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Connor. Any questions for Connor? John Wolpert is next. Everybody, I'm John Wolpert, and I've been serving as the chair of the technical steering committee for the last 6 months. Been really enjoying it. My day job is all about baselining, thanks to my boss, who is the head of both Consensus AG, the company I work for, and Consensus, the newly founded Consensus Inc., which was in the papers, now having a pretty interesting arrangement with JP Morgan. And Nick Kritikos and I work together to support company opportunities, both in the portfolio of Consensus AG and in our product teams and in the other company. It is important to note, I do not legally work for the new co, Consensus Inc. I work for Consensus AG, and that does give me some distance from the commercial products of Consensus Inc., which I think is very convenient for this position, to try to maintain non-biased attitude towards all products. I will say one other thing. I don't have to be the only candidate. I've seen that for the chair for coming up. There may be others on that list. We're vetting that now. And if anyone else is selected as chair, that doesn't mean anything at all in terms of my level of effort supporting them. So I can do what I've been doing for them. So you don't need to vote for me just to have me to continue to do it. doing what I'm doing. So that's my pitch for everyone else. Eric, or any questions for me?
Oh, real quick. If anyone who is talking, or I guess, is there an indication when we vote of who wants to take the position of chairperson, or do we just vote who we think would be best?
Yeah, great question. I've been testing a bunch of voting tools, and honestly, I finally just went back to home base with Google Forms, and I'm going to turn that over to Jory or one of the other Oasis administration folks, so that I don't have access to the results. So it won't be anonymous on the spreadsheet, but it will be confidential with them, so none of the candidates will know who voted for whom. And there are two fields in the form. One is, a list of the 11 or however many people have not opted out of the chair. And then you get to check off up to 11 people on a list of members. And you're instructed to include the chair in that list. So in your pick of 11, make sure you pick the one that you chose as chair as well. And that's it.
John, I think Hudson's question.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Sorry. Specifically was around, is it clear who's interested in the chair position, in case people may not be interested in a chair position?
Oh, I see. I'm still tabulating that. Sent out a note over the weekend and saying basically, if you don't want to be on that list, you need to let us know. And then suddenly a lot of people saying, I don't want to be on that list. So, but I don't have a complete, I don't have a list of those folks who are not, who are opting out.
Maybe if it's comfortable for the call, if people could just say if they're wanting that, or if they've decided that they want that, or if you've already gone, just maybe give a minute to give those people a chance. But me personally, I'm okay not being considered for a chairperson position.
Does anyone in the who's already spoken wish to indicate that they will be on that list? Make it easy that way.
This is Nate's proxy. I can't really answer that.
I think I have a note from Nate on that, but if you see Nate on the list, he would be a very good chair. Okay, Eric, Brave.
Hey, how you doing, everyone? Sorry for joining a little late. Was having a few issues in Zoom that slowed me down from resolving some other things. So, yeah, I've been CTO in the internet space for about 25 years now. Built a lot of firsts over the years, and have been happy to be part of the Baseline community so far. I think fast forwarding through all of the normal normal bio stuff, which everyone can just kind of read, and feel free to have any, reach out to me if anyone has any questions. I think getting to the meat of Baseline, super excited for the tech, and primarily what I'd like to continue to do with the Baseline community is find very interesting integration points and very interesting technologies to combine Baseline and baselining with. And my current focus would be DFINITY and the internet computer. So many of you may not be following the DFINITY org, but the internet computer is launching this year in its full form in December. And this gives us very good timing to integrate Baseline and the various techniques into the internet computer in various places. So, to be clear, I'm going to continue that effort regardless of whether I'm on the TSC. So it's not really contingent on that, but with if I was elected again to the TSC, that would be my focus point. That's a very good overlap. And there's tremendous opportunity for the community there. We already have a tremendous amount of interest in the IC and a large developer community growing around it. And I'd like to bring these two communities together and create something, create integrations that are profoundly interesting. So that would really be my focus here. Since I was a little late, I didn't actually get a context for what perhaps some other people had said here. That might be a good or a bad thing. If I didn't cover anything important, please let me know.
That was great, Eric. Thank you. Any questions for Eric? All right, Karthik Solapuram, you're up.
Right. Hello, everyone. This is Karthik Solapuram. I play the role of solution architect and research engineer at EY. I've been great during the first term of being a member of the TSC and also as one of the main members of the maintainers. It was great seeing the community come alive and extend the baseline protocol as it was initially released into new use cases, new integrations, and new possibilities for new standards. My particular interest in continuing on the TSC would be to promote standards and specifications that can apply on a general level to the enterprises specifically around privacy technologies and tokenization. In addition, I'm particularly interested in any advancements around privacy-based technologies in so forth as zero-knowledge-based technologies and anything of that sort to essentially scale and provide robust architectures for clients.
Thank you, Karthik. Any questions for Karthik? Okay, moving on to Brian Chamberlain.
Hi, yes. My name is Brian Chamberlain. I'm a software engineer at Consensus AG. Been part of the baseline community for just over a year now. Was one of the original design and engineering team members, working with Karthik and others. I have about 20 years experience in production web application software development, scaling to millions of users and a lot of commercial consumer products. I have a focus in that career on integration, working with different hardware technologies and enterprise technologies and things like that. As part of the TSC, been working with the community to help expand the use of baseline, and looking forward to continuing that dedication to making baseline easier to use and adapt and adopt at the enterprise level. I'm also a maintainer on the baseline team.
Thanks, Brian. Any questions for Brian? Awesome robot there, by the way.
Thanks.
All right, Sam Stokes.
Hey, thanks, John. Sam Stokes. I work at Consensus AG along with John and Brian and several others. I think this is a really good list of potential candidates. I think I actually want to remove myself from nomination just because I think for the health of the community, it'd be good to get a little more diverse representation on the TSC. So I will fully endorse Brian and John. Be happy for one of them or both of them to get nominated. But I think maybe having all three of us from the same small group might not be the most beneficial to the community. So,
and they can vote for you and Brian too. I mean, that's lots of ways to pull that.
Yeah, understood.
But, Understood. I'll just say if Sam's on the list, I won't hold you to that right now, Sam. But if he's on the list when you see it, then you can vote for him. If he's not, then that's what he's decided. I think we all do owe you some thanks, Sam, for adding more than half again the number of contributors that joined the voting list in the last week. So that was a significant expansion in contributors, and I know you put a lot of work into that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I'll just say I am one of the code maintainers on Baseline, so still plan on being heavily involved on that side, and obviously working with the TSC closely. So not disappearing by any means.
Very well. Okay. Any questions for Sam? All right, David Meckler.
Okay, hey everyone, I'm David Meckler. I currently work for Consensus Inc. One of the protocol engineers working on Hyperledger Besu. And actually one of the current things I'm working on with the Baseline team is adding support into Besu, because we're looking to provide a first-class implementation. That's one of the main, I guess, points of interest for me going forward with the Baseline community is, helping to add more diverse client support. And that's basically one of the reasons why I thought it'd be a good idea to try and join. That's me.
Thanks, David. Any questions for David? Anais or Frank, you're up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anais. I'm the founder and principal consultant at Conscianimis. Where I think I can add value to the Baseline TSC is my experience working on enterprise programs, particularly on large-scale IT integration. So bringing these views, that will be some of the view of some of our key stakeholders at executive level, combining and ensuring the alignment of the technical and the business sides. So thinking in terms of enterprise architecture, enterprise capabilities, identifying what needs to be addressed and framing what needs to be done, so we can work together, all together with a team to deliver in a timely manner. So yes, if you think that this is a perspective that would benefit the technical steering committee, and if you like the approach that I've shown on the standard work that we started doing a couple of weeks ago, then I guess vote for me. And that's it.
Thank you, Anais. I'd like to say also that Anais simply stepped up and discovered the community, entered the community, and just got to work and started leading simply by leading. And that is a lesson for other people watching this. There's lots to do, and that's all you need to do. It's simply step up. And you can be on the next list of candidates. Cal Teeter.
Hey everyone, this is Cal Teeter from Microsoft. Been part of the blockchain ecosystem here since it was founded, with York Rhodes and Marley Gray and a few folks here at Microsoft. Been heavily involved with Consensus and our broad partner community, Ethereum Foundation, part of the EEA from inception, part of Baseline when it started. Basically been working with our enterprise customers on figuring out where the problems are that we need to get these things into production, both on the private side, but also keeping an eye, and I'm pretty passionate about getting to public mainnet. So Baseline is a perfect fit there because trying to figure out some of the really hard things around like wallet management and how Microsoft's technology stack can help in that area has been like my life for the last 4 or 5 years, and really focused on things like identity management, how we can basically form consortiums or groups or networks and start to spin those up. But then obviously there's a heavy side of privacy because of the enterprise focus. So very much in tune with what Ian Wise been working on with Nightfall, all the different technology around privacy, very close to the Quorum folks since Quorum was built with Sam and the group. Yeah, it's pretty much my pitch. I've been working in the space for quite some time. Know John, know all these everybody in this group. I think there was probably 10 employees at Consensus when I started working with those guys, but I'm very much interested in helping our partner community succeed as well. I know.
Thank you,
By
Kale.
the way, Kale was the first full-time engineer in blockchain at Microsoft in early 2016 when we convinced his boss that that was a good idea.
That's awesome. Kale, thanks. Any questions for Kale? George Spasov. And if George isn't here, George has a new addition to his family. So congratulations to George.
Yeah, John, I think this is George's last day of parental leave.
Okay.
So he'll be back.
So everyone, George Spasov, would anybody like to speak for George before I started? So George leads LimeChain, which is a terrific company that stepped right up to the baseline protocol work and built among other things, really teamed up with several other companies that have been involved in the original demos. And in particular, as I understand it, did the lion's share of the work, or quite a bit of work, on the demo that includes being able to baseline a Google Sheets spreadsheet, which I think many of us have pointed to as a pretty creative idea. I certainly hadn't thought of baselining spreadsheets when we were cooking this up. And I think it really expanded our thinking about baselining. So that's George.
He did do the lion's share of the work, John, and I would vouch for George being or even go so far as to endorse him for the TSC.
Right on. And George also is a maintainer.
Sorry to interrupt you. Thanks.
No, please. And Devin Mitchum. It's early in California right now. So, Devin, you have
Yeah.
I was about
Hey,
to
everybody.
but I don't have to. Okay, good.
Hey, everyone. Good to virtually meet. I am Devin Mitchum. I'm a cloud engineer based at Google. I'm based out here in Singapore, and I'm joining keen to join the TSC really out of personal interest, out of an extension of my work with a few open source projects at Google. I could probably add a couple things beyond my day job. I've been involved in a few open source initiatives. One is Measurement Lab, which is a carrier neutral internet speed test. So if you've ever gone to google.com and typed internet speed test, the component built in there, I was part of the team that built some of that infrastructure. And then for blockchain, I've been part of a core team since about 2018 behind our public blockchain data sets. And I did a bit of the hands-on work as we migrated from virtual machines into Kubernetes and adopted Kubernetes really to run our various nodes for all the various public chains that we provide on BigQuery as free data. So yeah, I'd probably say 2 points in terms of how I'd love to add some value and contribute and work with the team here. One, I'd like to contribute really towards design and docs for really that repeatable infrastructure, infra as code patterns, if you will. And I think number two, speak on behalf of maybe potential customer user journeys, and the value plays. Because I think it's super interesting where baseline could be that nice enterprise complement for mainnet. And I'd love to contribute on those parts. So yeah, great meeting you all.
Thank you, Devin. Any questions for Devin? And yeah, I should have said Singapore. I don't know why I said California. I knew you were in Singapore. What time is it there for you?
Not too bad, 11:30 p.m., just opposite of you guys in Raleigh.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's going to change. My problem always was when the time zones changed at different times for daylight savings time and such.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah. Do you flip? Anyway, long story. Thanks, Devin. Those are all of our candidates, everyone. This list has been published, so if you go on Slack or a number of other places, you will see that list. It's in view only, I hope, and I think it is. And so yeah, that is the current list of candidates, and those will be included in the voting, in our super sophisticated voting tool, which is a Google form. All right. So with that, look at all those people on there. It's terrific. We have you have your candidates. Those of you who have contributed a pull request to the repo and signed your ICLA, which you had to do that, are now contributors. Maintainers, Sam, can you confirm that there are no pull requests outstanding that need to be merged?
I cannot confirm that. I think there are actually a couple small ones out there that we will have to take a look at.
Tell you what, so there's nothing in the rules that says we can't do this, so I'm going to, unless somebody objects, and feel free, feel comfortable, feel safe objecting. I will say that we will issue the voting form by close of business U.S. Eastern time. And until that time, people can continue to register by doing pull requests. So yeah, one last gasp effort to do that. As everyone should know, there is no amount of money, no amount of sponsorship that you can purchase to get a vote for the community. The only thing that counts is contribution. It doesn't have to be code. It could be grammar, on docs. It can be videos. It can be anything that people have been doing. There are some terrific contributors. They're not writing code actively, but certainly deserve a vote. But the only way we assess whether or not you're a contributor is whether you've submitted a pull request. And Sam and I and others are here to help you if you're not used to doing a pull request. We will walk you through it hand in hand. Just reach out to us on Slack. And we'll walk you through it. We've been doing that. Sam's been doing it for quite a while. So please, you've got until the close of business today to be a voter. And then you'll get the form and you can make your selections. With that, does anyone have any other issues on this, or shall we close this matter?
There's a question in chat about vice chairs, John.
We do not have vice chairs. In the new group, once they're elected, I think that's something that can be brought up. Also, changes to the way we do voting, learnings from this current vote. Was our first time doing it. I hope to avoid any horrible irregularities. I think this one's fairly safe. I think next year's is going to be more interesting when people's careers are actively tied to how baseline evolves. You're going to see a lot more contentiousness, I think, as people want to get involved. But I think that right now we've got a pretty friendly group of people, and not too many more people than there are slots. So hopefully it isn't a too hard of a decision. Obviously, everybody that has offered themselves as candidates for the TSC, I don't think they're going anywhere if they don't get on it. None of us are, I certainly am not planning on changing my activity level one iota, whether I'm on the TSC or not. So with that, we'll move on to the next topic. Yes? Okay. All right, next topic is roadmap. And as we discussed last week, or last time, 2 weeks ago, with V0.1 out, and now we've kind of digested it a bit, we have seen some interesting developments. One of them is last night, Ernst & Young announced the first enterprise production product made by an enterprise that is baseline native, ops chain network procurement. Very excited about this. Karthik, or if Arwen or any of your team are on, if you'd like to say a few words about that. you're on mute. All right. Well, they're being shy today. But go read the press release. I tweeted it. I'm sure there's lots of easy ways to get to it. Pretty exciting. And the reason I bring them up for this session is that they, as now a product that has to make money doing this stuff. Hey, Arwen, you're there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, opportune time for me to go get my charger because my computer is dying. So I'm assuming you made the note about the off-chain network procurement.
Yes, and I'm going to position this in terms of requirements gathering for what we do next.
Yeah, and that's really where we are, and we're hoping to get engagement from this community and ideally help influence what the community focuses on as well. Just given this is a real product we're aiming to take to market. If folks are curious, it is available as an open beta. You just have to go to blockchain.io.com and register, and we certainly welcome feedback. And then related to Baseline, we are looking forward to just putting more resources towards the Baseline community and helping with things like tokenization standards for POs and invoices, as well as what we end up solidifying for secure messaging, and looking forward to leveraging the more of the Baseline community work around how we're managing organizations. All of those are relevant to the network procurement solution we're taking to market.
And Arwen, you were saying, or I've heard tell that you guys have some requirements that you really need to see get prioritized. That you guys may even have some resources that could be, that could tap into to work on some of this stuff. And one of them is tokenization standards for key inputs and outputs of the Baseline process. I know you guys are very, very interested in tokenization. I don't want to put words in your mouth from there. So
yeah, so we just had an internal discussion prior to this meeting, but we're looking to Karthik on our side to help set up a meeting with ideally the newly elected TSC members, as well as our engineering resources on the ops chain team, to help solidify some of those next steps.
Right on. Yeah, if we can, we'll get some maintainers in there. And actually, it's a good. I'll pivot from that to a suggestion that I think everybody could get really excited about. What say we to a day long, at least, maybe two, but certainly 1 day long, drop in, drop out studio on Baseline and what we do next. I had the occasion to be on an event last week that was run by some brilliant folks out of UCSB. Davis was there. It was also organized by U of M and others, university group. And they used remo.co. I'd never used that before, but what was super cool and really charged me up was how you could have like a whole big kind of great hall for some big, speechy speeches. But then you broke out into these tables that graphically look like tables on the screen, and you can see where people are. And I was thinking we could put master epics as the labels for each of those tables, and people could just go in and just hammer things out and really, build a body of work. Show up, go away, show up, go away. And I thought if we could sponsor it, probably not a for-fee sponsor, but just the companies any company willing to send, have a recruiter or something like that lurking on this, can be a sponsor, and we can kind of signal that to the community. Hey, show up. There are recruiters and there are sponsors. These are the companies that are interested in this. Just to kind of and do other things like that to generate some frothiness about the activity. Quasi hackathon, but more of a requirements-a-thon with some problem solving and maybe some architecture, or definitely some architecture work. Does this sound like something we ought to do? I was thinking like, right around the end or the beginning of November, before the election, the U.S. elections.
Yeah, John, I agree.
Hey, Bill. Any others like to second? Any dissent? Any questions?
That sounds very interesting. I'd say we try it.
Right enough. Okay, I'll take an action to approach our friends at Oasis to see if they can set us up with a remo.co. Obviously, if we can't use that, it's not a deal killer. We can use Zoom and it's fine. We can use breakout rooms. But we will take that action. And if anyone would like to help organize it, please reach out to me offline. I won't put you on the spot right here on the call. Okay. So we will do that in that time frame, somewhere first week of November, very end of October, perhaps. Okay. All right. So that I think that will be. So that means we have a month to prepare that list of requirements, those big things we want to do. Let me just read off some of the ones that were communicated to me. Downstream continuity. So for example, if you have a baseline record and then you copy that record into another system internally, are there cases where there should be a protocol for baseline getting updated in some way? It was an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of it before. Hosted baseline in a box. So it doesn't have to just be protocol stuff. It also could be products around protocols, around this protocol. So, is somebody out there, inspired to create a service, right, where you could almost like a virtual a virtual blade that kind of you plug into your infrastructure, but it's running on the cloud. Be kind of interesting. A thought that it would make it very easy for you to have to integrate baselining into your product or into your internal IT systems. That was brought up. Another one was the identity book. So with Kale on the call, over and over and over again in the last 2 weeks, people have been talking to me about things they want to see us do next and what's blocking us from going on to more production level stuff. And the having an identity, having the org registry as a global phone book that has attestations so that you can know that you're dealing with a company X, and having that be self-standing and basically something that more and more companies can just sign up to so you can instantly baseline with them. That's a big ticket item. It's a big item. And I know, Kale, you've got a lot of thoughts about it. Would you like to say a few words about that?
Yeah, this is something that has been a huge friction point, as John mentioned before, and we've seen it ourselves, like working with these big companies. And, I've been working with the ION team, our decentralized ID team, and that's, an open source community, not just Microsoft, but a bunch of others. And the idea there is to create some standards and some tooling actually around that and make that something that's super easy to onboard into that phone book registry. But it also helps when you start forming consortiums or like groups and things like that. After, you only have to do it kind of once and then decide how you're going to share that with other people, whether it be privately or something more public. I think that's another aspect to kind of figure out there. And then there's other deeper ties into the chain technology that's used underneath there, whether it be for private transactions or things like that. So I think there's a whole slew of things there. And then there's also I've been talking to Brian and the team about, payments. So when we get to a public mainnet, how do we kind of integrate these existing identity systems in such a way that allows kind of frictionless or friction low payment solutions so they can pay gas or whatever they need to do a mainnet transaction? So that's another piece that tightly couples with the identity.
And you're aware, Kale, that Brian and Sam are also and actually a couple other companies are working on gas services or what we might call gas services or transaction fee services. So maybe you guys can get together on that. So that would be one. We're not, given that we were going over the elections today, we won't have time to go into deep depth. So I'm not going to bring up the repo at this time. I think that what we should be doing is organizing ourselves into groups to start to tackle prepping for breakouts in that design session that we'll have at the end of the month or the beginning of next month. So I'm just like, let's breeze over the highlights. Kyle, do you have any thoughts on what's top of your mind right now? I know that the privacy package and the persistence package is on your mind.
Yeah, privacy, persistence, payments, I guess the 3 Ps of baseline. That phone book will be pretty important too. Yeah, I think everything that you said.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll want to break those out. Obviously, one of the things we're going to want to do, and maybe we can get a few of us to just go through and do some spring cleaning or fall cleaning on the repo, on what issues we have, and look back over our methodologies and see how we're doing with that. Anais, anything you're seeing from the standard side that you want to talk about?
So last week we had the second session on the standard side. So we actually have set up the specs folders so everybody can see on the Ethereum baseline repo. There are a couple of pull requests to update the README. We received from the Oasis team all the templates that we needed. So from this week and next week, the content of some of the PowerPoint will be pushed as work in progress drafts. So that's the current status.
And can you confirm, Sam, Anais, can we confirm that we have the standards.mds now in a /docs folder in the primary repo?
Yes, confirm.
Okay, so people can start contributing to that. As folks know, legally, contribution to the standards work is done only by people that have signed the ICLA, and a good way of making sure you do that is do a pull request. And that is the only repository. So we don't use Google Docs anymore, I don't think, or at least not to any effect when it comes to the standards writing. This is so that we make sure that we have certificates of originality and other things to make sure that you don't wind up with lots of lawsuits about the standard in the future, as other standards have experienced in the past and we've learned from. So that's why that is. And so anybody can attend the meetings that Anais organizes. I just send you a note, right, Anais? If you'd like to be involved, and the only requirement for being on those meetings is that you are a contributor.
Yeah.
Terrific. Some of the companies, by the way, have signed ECLAs, so that they've covered all employees with that, as I understand it. Okay. Would anybody like, so the EDI folks, EDI team, are you on there? There's Sam Bach, I see. I want,
can you hear me? There's a couple of us. Yeah. David's here as well.
And John, maybe? Anyway, well, that's a quorum. Can you give us a brief on, I guess you're going to feature some exciting stuff this month, and you're going to be on the Baseline show on Wednesday. Would you like to talk about what you'd like people to get involved in?
So we were discussing actually expanding the scope to not just include supply chain. So I know there's a few other companies involved in Baseline. So that would include like healthcare, and then obviously like finance companies or financial like oriented companies. So if you're interested in leveraging those schemas and being able to read that information, let us know, I guess.
Just to give context for folks that might not be aware. There are several companies. There's a channel that you can join on the Slack called EDI. I think it's an open channel. And there are several companies who know a lot about electronic data interchange, which is a standard from the 60s and 70s, as I recall. And it runs a lot of the supply chain of the world. It's basically a markup. It's a markup standard. It's just how you mark documents. But it is very important. And so being able to baseline with an EDI within an EDI framework has been a key item on the agenda. And it looks like we're going to have some real work done and released in October. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we already are able to actually do EDIFACT, which is a UN standard, and then I actually just finished prototyping IATA, which is the format that airlines use. So
What about
yeah,
GS1?
Well, if you're wanting to do barcodes, that's actually already done as well, but that's not really, I didn't know if it was included in the scope because it's not technically an EDI document. It's the 2D barcodes, but yeah, that's definitely possible as well. So yeah.
And your
if you
use
have any
case is going to be around customs, right?
Yeah, so it would be Canadian customs through ACI, highway, and then U.S. customs, but only overland freight. So no ocean or air cargo for right now.
And your MVP or the project is which documents are you gonna baseline in that as a demo?
So it will be a 211, which is a bill of lading, going into a 810, which is a commercial invoice, and then both of those are then used to generate a proof for an auction to auction off the account receivable.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that. That's great.
I've got a few more surprises.
All right, you guys are always full of surprises. So, where would you say you need help? There's a big community out here. A lot of people looking for places they can chip in. We don't have a lot of time, so maybe what I'll say is, folks that are interested, reach out to the EDI group, and they can brief you on the things that they're needing help on. But friendly crowd. They're happy to have you help.
Just one thing, if you can help by providing example or validation schemes, or just a willing POC partner, that's always great. Great to have some additional verification, right? So yeah, thank you.
Right on. And last, any other burning topics that people you'd like to have, anybody would like to have folks have in their active RAM this next 2 weeks?
I just wanted to say, Sam, I saw that you all forked the Splunk Connect for Ethereum. So if there's any Splunk integrations you all are looking to do, my team would be happy to help. Okay, I'll reach out to you. Thank you. All right, no problem.
Anything else? Any other big topics we missed? I'll give one example is debasing and rebasing. That's another feature set. So again, everybody really put on your thinking caps and think about things that you would like to be able to do with baselining that you can't do now, features that are missing. What are the ilities? What are the performance and non-functional requirements that you're? I'm publishing an article on that subject very soon with a publication on what kind of performance requirements are needed for the Internet of 2030, and so that's really the job for October, is for us to leave no stone unturned in October for things that we ought to be doing. Last topic is a proposal to have a featured products and services page on the mainnet, or on the baseline website and other materials. So we now have products that are baseline native, or baseline capable, or baseline compliant. I guess we'll have to figure out what word to use. And there are services, companies that are willing to help companies with baselining and other things like that. Does anyone object to me inquiring as to the appropriateness of us putting that up on our public website? I hear no objections. I will move forward with that, and I will check with the OASIS administrators in case there are if there's anything we're missing on why we shouldn't do that. All right, good. And that would be an example of the other thing that we want to be focused on in October, which is incentives. I will announce that my team now has a small incentives budget. I know other companies are thinking about an incentives budget for baselining, things like bounties and other ways of getting some of the work done that maybe isn't quite as exciting or just really just needs some extra heft to get done, and somebody ought to get compensated for it. Most of the work all the work up till now has been volunteer, and so the question of incentives is on the table. I won't say that we will resolve it in October, but any way that we can incentivize and make and give back to the people that are giving to the protocol is important, I'm sure, to all of us. So one way we can do that is list those products and services, and thank them for their help. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, issues, things to bring up for next meeting? All right. Thanks, everybody. Bear in mind, on the repo is in the baseline roadmap repo. You can find the next agenda. It's also linked, I think, in the calendar entry. Please add anything that you would like on that agenda before the next meeting 2 weeks from now on Monday, whatever that Monday will be. All right. Thanks. Have a great 2 weeks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Sean. Cheers.